What is my favorite part and my least favorite part of publishing? I'll tell you that in just a moment, but first let me welcome you to this edition of What's Up Wednesday for September 18th, 2024. I'm not going to share much writer news or updates with you on this one because just 4 days ago on Saturday, you should have gotten the Saturday broadsheet, which would have all of that information in it. So that would have all my writing news, what books are on sale this month, what book is free to read this month, and also part of a story that I'm writing called Harriet and the Colonel. That should all be in there. So if you're signed up, subscribed at one of the 4 places where I share that, then you would have seen it. If you're not subscribed, you might have gotten lucky and seen a post on social media about it and then been able to read it. But to make sure that you know what's going on in my writing world and what is on sale and all of those things, you can do that at one of 4 places. The first is my blog, which is LeanieBrown.com. The second is Substack, which is LeanieBrown.substack.com. The third would be Patreon.com/LeanieBrown. And the fourth is reamstories.com/LeanieBrown. Now those last 2 are subscription services as well as a way for me to keep in contact with my reader community. You can follow for free at both of those places and you'll get the broadsheet. Oh, where did my brain go there? I don't know. You'll get the broadsheet sent to you and any of the other email type things that I do, including this video and story connection posts, all of those things. You'll get those there as well. Just for being a free follower. If you're a paid follower, you'll get to read as I write. There's an option where you can get a copy, a download of the stories that I do write before anyone else does. You can read my backlist. There are several options for how you can subscribe. So you can see that when you're there too, but you don't have to do any of that in order to be able to read the broadsheet and the free read each month on Patreon or Ream Stories. The free read this month, which you would have seen in the broadsheet, but I'm going to tell you again anyway, is Frosted Window Panes. That is a persuasion-inspired story. It is set in my Willow Hall romance world, but you do not have to be familiar with the Willow Hall romance series at all in order to enjoy this story. But if you have read it, then when you see, Philip Daubney's name in there, or Marcus Daubney's name, then you'll know that character already. He won't just be a random character to you because you'll know who he is. So that is free to read this month. You can also find that on any of the retailers, and it is included in Kobo Plus and Everand, and it's also on, I believe that one is also on Hoopla, so if you have access to Hoopla, maybe through a library, you could read it through there as well. Okay, so that's going to be it for any sort of update from me. Now let's get to that question that I wanted to answer this time. My favorite part of publishing is once the story is all done and the story has been sent out into the world and I know, well, sometimes it's before it's published, and I know that readers are enjoying it. For instance, my readers on Patreon tend to comment on stories when they're being written and shared, and I really do enjoy hearing that they're enjoying something. That is very motivational because I like to make people happy, to give them something that entertains them, to make them take a few minutes where they can, feel good and kind of escape the world for a bit and be in a fictional place that is just fun to be in. So that is the best part of publishing for me. If there are any of the publishing tasks that I like better than any others, I don't know. Like, writing is pretty fun, although it can be frustrating at times too. I am a discovery writer, and figuring out what's going to happen and how and all that can sometimes be really frustrating for me. But enjoyable. It's not like a frustrating thing that you don't want to do. It's a frustrating thing that is like, this is really tricky, but as soon as you get through it, you're like, oh, it feels so good to have gotten through that. So it's a good frustrating. What other things do I like about the process rather than just the final product and people enjoying it? The process of publishing, probably another thing that kind of annoys me to do sometimes, but it is fun to see the result of it, is the polishing process, when I'm editing. So I've got the story that, it's good, but then I read through it and I get to add to it. And I do that as I go. So I'll write a chapter or half a chapter, whatever length of words. And then the next time when I go to write again, I read through what I wrote last time, I polish it up a bit, and then I go on. And then when I get done, I will again go through it and give it more polishing before I send it off to anyone else to help me with the editing process. And I do like seeing the changes. I don't always like making them, but I like seeing the changes and seeing how it goes from this one thing that was good to something that is, even better. And I do enjoy that. Okay, the least favorite part. There are two least favorite parts, and they kind of match up with what I've been talking about, I guess. My favorite was when readers enjoy a story. My least favorite are really mean reviews, like low reviews and mean reviews. I don't normally read my reviews. I read the reviews that I get through Booksprout, and I reply to all of them. That is my service that I use for ARC, advanced reader copies of the book, or usually those are before it publishes. I read those, but once I get through those, I don't tend to read the reviews, just to protect my creative abilities, because it's not just the poor reviews, where they rail on something that they didn't like in the book, or the horrible mistakes that were made or whatever. Sorry, got distracted. The good reviews can also be a bit of a problem for me creatively, because it's like, well, can I do that again? You kind of get that comparisonitis, but it's with yourself. It's like, oh, is this book going to be as good as the last book? And it can kind of put a damper on the creativity. So the reviews are not my favorite part of the writing process. Even though I like to hear that people are enjoying a book. I know, contradictory, I suppose, but that's the way it is. The other thing that I don't like doing is creating the print book. Creating the print cover, getting it all set up and perfect on Amazon. It's just fiddly. It takes a while and it's fiddly. And I don't enjoy doing that. So that would probably be my least favorite part. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the answer that I want to go with for now. Could that change? Oh yeah, I'm sure that could change. Adding, like adding things that I'm doing, such as Etsy store. Not a real big fan of, filling out all the details on there to get books listed. Again, it's fiddly. Don't like fiddly things, I guess. Yeah, so that's my answer for now. I enjoy knowing that people are enjoying the book. I also enjoy writing and polishing the story. That is probably the most fun because I'm discovering it, and it's kind of exciting, rather frustrating at times, but kind of exciting. And then there are the least favorite parts, which are creating the print copies, the print cover, and getting it all ready, and just because it's fiddly. And then low reviews. They're not motivational. They don't help me want to keep writing. Let's just put it that way. All right, so that is it for today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Until next time, happy reading.